All right, what's up, everybody? Podcast number 8, Wide Open with Chris Burandt, with my co-host Ross Robinson. Ross, dude, you are weeks away from heading down to South America. It is July 23rd, 2019. I am hours away, so I've been, the last 2 days, it's like when I was 10 waiting for Christmas, like just so amped up and ready to go. And then to add insult to injury, they got absolutely pummeled with snow this last week. So, dude, are you ready or what?
Oh yeah. And I know you're ready because you sound a little nasally. You got some allergies going on. Like you're allergic to the sun. So I'm excited. And I didn't go down last year. I think it's been 2 years since I've been down there. So excited to return. And man, it's a very incredible experience down there. And, especially when they get the snow like it's been snowing. So I'm super pumped to return.
Cool. Well, before we dive into it, just want to say thanks to all the listeners. It's been really cool watching the podcast keep evolving and growing, subscribers. And then, I think the coolest thing that I've seen is just how long everybody's actually listening to the podcast. It's our podcasts are about 45 minutes long, and people are actually listening to the whole thing. And so that means we must not be too boring.
No, it's that is the cool part, is like people aren't checking out. So we appreciate you guys hanging in there. And one of my numbers I'm looking at right now is we're about to eclipse 20,000 downloads. So that's pretty good. I'm excited for what we have to bring, and man, this winter is going to be really fun with it once everybody's really in the mood. So
yeah, and we'll be able to have a lot more consistency as well. I know this summer, this is number 8, and we started kind of late spring. So when Ross will be here, and then down in Chile, we plan on getting a couple done as well. So it should be a lot of fun. But I guess for podcast number 8, we wanted to, with all the excitement of Chile, and I've been doing my best to get everybody as jealous as possible, and I'm not even down there yet with all the past videos, and obviously it pumps me up and gets me excited looking back at all the memories. But we get a lot of questions of how did you find out about Chile? How did Chile end up coming about? And so we're gonna tell some stories about that, and just go down memory lane here a little bit.
Yeah, and I think the biggest one is for you to talk about, Chris, is like the very beginning of even getting the idea of doing it, and how could it be possible, and what was the first trip like?
Yeah, well, man, that first, okay, so there's a couple first trips, and I'll explain. So how Chile came about in the very first place was we were doing Burandt's Backcountry Adventure up here in Colorado, and we ended up getting a group that booked to come ride with us in Colorado from Chile. And so I guess much like a lot of people, I really didn't think anything about it. I'm like, oh, Chile, oh, that's kind of cool. And I didn't really think like their seasons are opposite, right? So just, south of the equator is their winter, our summer, and vice versa. So it's our hottest time of the month now, which means it's their coldest time of the year, and it's full on winter down there right now. So once I realized that, it was pretty apparent, like I'm going to get to go ride with some guys who love snowmobiling just as much as I do, right? I mean, a lot of these guys, it was their first time traveling to the United States. They picked their first time coming to the U.S. to come ride snowmobiles with us, and that was pretty cool. And so after either the first or second night or whatever of riding, we were sitting down doing dinner, and after dinner kind of just hanging out with the guys and talking to them, and they get their laptop out and they start showing us pictures of Chile in their riding zone. And I'm looking at all these pictures, and I'm just like, so this is in August that it looks like this? And obviously as a snowmobiler, the big lights and start flashing, and I'm like, whoa, I gotta go check this out.
Yeah, because it's the hunt to ride every month of the year too. Like, how are you supposed to ride in August? You got to go get it. So
exactly. And that was the elusive month that I was actually missing. I had ridden in September before. I had ridden in July many times. But August in the States, that is a tough one. That's a tricky one. And so, man, just to go check that one off the list, sign me up.
Yeah. So you went down there on the first trip was a film trip, if I'm not mistaken, before you kind of scouted it. And then, then BBA planted its roots down there as kind of a summer home. So.
Yeah. So that first trip was really fun. So kind of back up a little bit. After meeting the clients, seeing their zones, seeing their operation, I was like, man, we need to go on a recon mission. And so I actually reached out to Slednecks, and I said, guys, we got, Slednecks was always looking for that next cool riding segment, something that we could incorporate into the film. I said, hey, we got the mothership right here. I got a contact so we can go down to South America and go snowmobiling in the middle of summer. And so we started making plans and getting everything together. And what's kind of cool is, so it ended up being myself and Brett Turcott, a very young Brett Turcott back then, which was pretty cool and fun. So him and I went down there for Slednecks. We shot a cool segment. And what was funny about the time we went down there was actually we had just missed it. It had got warm, and then it got super cold, and so the snow was actually pretty firm. So I mean, it wasn't the most ideal riding conditions, but the experience, like I remember sitting on the plane flying back, I was just like, I cannot believe I just got to go do that. And it's not like, I was riding over the hood POW. It didn't matter. I mean, the stuff I saw, and I've kind of talked about this with regards to Chile, is the sense of exploration that you get down there is something that, I see why people want to go, climb Everest or whatever. I mean, whatever it is. I mean, that sense of adventure of saying to yourself, like, I know there hasn't been a snowmobile here, and I'm not so sure if there's ever been a person sitting right here where I am today. And that's what I left there, my very first trip to Chile, and then on the plane flying home, trying to figure out in my head, how can I make this work to get clients down there to experience this same feeling?
Yeah, and made it happen. So the first year was, I remember the first year I didn't go, but I think that was the first year I actually worked for you. And I remember loading up that first container with just sleds and parts and everything. Everybody's like, what are we going to need? Because you're not getting it once it's down there. If you break something and you don't have it, you got to figure it out. Because mail is quite expensive to get down there.
Yeah, so on the surface, it's easy to say, let's go ride snowmobiles in Chile. It's actually really easy to say that. And then came the hard part of a lot of the things you mentioned. So trying to figure out, so I had to ship 10 sleds down there because there was no snowmobiles down there. So I had to ship 10 sleds, all the parts, tools. I mean, everything that you take for granted that you have just laying around here in the shop, you have to bring everything. There is no dealer, there is no anything down there. So that was actually a super overwhelming project, was trying to wrap your head around those types of things, like, well, what would happen in this scenario, and if this happened, then I better bring this. And so we ended up bringing a lot of stuff, and and so, after getting my head wrapped around that and getting the containers ready, then all the logistics of shipping and customs and, oh my gosh, like the invoices, and you have to like inventory every single bolt and part. And it was just like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? And literally after the first like prep season, I was like, I don't know if this was worth it actually. And so, and to be honest, I think that every time as I'm using those early summer months to get ready for Chile, every time I'm like, this sucks. Maybe we won't do it next year. And then I get down there, I'm like, well, screw that. This was way worth it.
Yeah, all of that hard work and preparation to get it done. So, the first year also we had a great turnout client wise too. I mean, booked it big and went down there, and overall was a massive success, big enough for us to continue to do it. And what year, this is going to be year 6 or?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, this will be year 6. So we went down there. We had, so what year sleds did we have? We must have had 13s.
13s or 14s.
14s. No, you're right. 14s. Yep. 2014s. So yeah. So it was pretty cool. So the first year it was myself, Ryan Birchtold, and Sane Skinner. That was the crew. And so I also brought Phil Wybar from 208 Productions down there to help document and film the chaos and the madness. And talk about madness. It was the definition of, so that year we ended up renting 2 vans from the airport for the month. And, when you go to Enterprise and you go get a nice new van from the airport, that's what we do here in the States, right? I mean, you show up, you have this nice, pretty clean vehicle, and in Chile, you get this clapped out, like no tires left, manual stick shifts, just totally beat vans. And we're supposed to have these things for a month. And I remember, we get our 2 vans and we're like, okay, let's rally. And I get in the one and it stunk so bad. I'm like, hey, Skinner, get over here. I think this one's faster. You take this one. And of course, totally lying, right? And so he gets in there and I start to take off. I'm like, see you, sucker. And oh my God, that thing reeked so bad. But I remember going up to Sled Chile location for the very first. We get lost, bigger than crap. We're off in these like total dirt back roads. I remember we got to this one place and there was a river going across the road, and Phil's like, well, I think we just have to get on the other side. I'm like, dude, we're lost. We don't have to cross a river to get to where we're going. Oh my gosh. It was so, I mean, the adventure of Chile, which, that's what we always talk about with all of our trips, is it's always an adventure, but Chile started off purely as an adventure.
And it's so funny. I mean, I remember the year I was down there, some guys ended up renting trucks, and it was a $500 charge if you rolled it. They had built-in roll cages, and if you rolled the truck, it was $500. Like, I was like, oh, no big deal. You just rolled it. Here's $500. See you later. So, I mean, it operates a little different down there. And you just got to embrace it and enjoy it, because it's quite the adventure.
Yeah, it is, and so kind of sticking with that frame. So the adventure getting to the lodge, and we finally get up to. So again, our partners down there are Sled Chile. Basically, what their business is down there is they now have snowmobiles and they have snow bikes, but they have snowmobiles, and there's a resort just up from our facility that people travel to, and lots of people from Chile, but also lots lots of people doing the same thing we do of seeking out winter in the summer. So a lot of people from North America coming down. Anyway, they take these people from the resort, take them out to the backcountry to ski and snowboard. So that's kind of what Sled Chili's gig is down there. And so we get to the facility, we basically have 2 days to get all the parts inventoried, our makeshift shop kind of put together, sleds ready, all this stuff, right? So we bust butt. I mean, we were working like 16-hour days because we wanted to go ride prior to the clients getting there. And so we were all excited and we got our stuff done, and we're going for our first ride. And we're all so jacked and amped, and I remember, so we're going and we're filming some stuff with Phil, and we're like, hey, let's drop down into this ravine and go see what's over there. We drop down there, and sure enough, I mean, like, we're dropping down these waterfalls, and it's super sketchy getting down this thing. We get down, and it's like literally a couple thousand vertical feet, and we go so far down, like, it's not much snow in the valley floor. And it's kind of fun. It's crazy how Chile is like that. You can be down in the valley floor riding on 6 inches of snow, and then you just do one little hill climb and you're up in 6 feet of snow. So it's kind of crazy the snow level and the lines, how it works there. But anyway, we get down to the bottom, and we break a drive shaft bolt. Those 14s kind of were notorious for breaking drive shaft bolts, and so we just got done like side hilling down waterfalls, right? And we're down to the bottom with a broken drive shaft, and I'm just like, welcome to Chile. And so we made the plan. I'm like, all right, Ryan and saying, you guys, you know what you need to do, pull the skid, pull the drive shaft. I'm going to run back. I had a spare drive shaft. We had one in our parts bin. So Phil and I climb waterfall round 1. We get through it, and we run all the way back to the lodge, grab a drive shaft, come back in, swap the drive shaft. Now it's getting about dark, and we're having to go up this waterfall in the dark. I end up blowing a belt on the way, so I'm stuck halfway up the waterfall with a blown belt, and I mean, it's just like, and we're just laughing. I mean, what can you do, right? I mean, we're just laughing. Like, it's just, I mean, that's what snowmobiling is. You never know what's going to happen. And so, I mean, between the rental car, the van, the first ride, I mean, Chile was like, all right, this is how it's going to be. We're going to roll with the punches here.
Yep. And we've talked about being prepared before, but the preparedness kind of gets heightened because A, there's no parts, and B, nobody's coming to get you either. Like, you're not calling your buddy. He's not showing up. So you better be prepared to get yourself out of it. And but man, that's like you said, part of the adventure down there. But go ahead.
Well, I thought one thing that was kind of funny is in one of the Chile videos I posted from this past week. It was a sketchy line, kind of low snow conditions because we were in some lower elevations, but I pulled this line over some rocks and everything worked out, and I was like, man, that was a cool line. And someone did the typical, and I love this phrase, well, if I had 10 sleds, I'd try that too. I love that. I love when people say that. And it's like, well, actually in Chile, the Polaris mechanics aren't just flying around in their helicopter waiting for me to screw up to fix me, or I don't just go get another brand new snowmobile, and that's not how it works at all.
And it's funny, you were just talking about how the snow can change, or the elevation changes. Like, it kind of reminds me of we're looking at a map. The one year I'm there, when we discovered or went to the zone we call Powder Bound, and we rode like a quarter mile of sand before we got to the next mountain range, and then we're up in like 5 feet of fresh, just unreal snow. Nobody had ridden it ever, and it was like, you just don't see that here, because I don't know if it's the elevation change or what it is, but we're literally riding dirt and then we're sleighing POW all in the same day. So I remember that day very vividly. It was super fun, but just it differentiates so much down there.
Yeah, I was going to get to that of asking you what one of your memories was, and I had a feeling it was going to be Powder Bound. I mean, to this day, it was probably one of the funnest hour sessions. You and I just got to go and mob some deep, ridiculous, steep snow, and on a perfect bluebird day, and in South America in the Andes in August. I mean, how can it get any better? But to your point, I mean, it's funny how it's just different, and so Chile it's very dynamic. The northern part of Chile, like in Santiago, they have these huge peaks, like all above tree line, 16 to 18,000 foot peaks, like big stuff. And then, so our location down south, we're actually really low elevation. Our lodge is at 4,000. Our primary riding spots around that 6,000 to 65. Some of the volcanoes surrounding us are around that 10,000. So we have a big variance in elevation there. And one of the things that was so key for us to be able to operate down there was I had seen footage and pictures and video from the northern part of Chile, and it looked beautiful on a bluebird day, but it was unrideable on a gray day. When a storm would come in, or avalanches or anything, because the access points were few and far between. And then once you get up and above, in Canada guys can speak to this. I mean, once you get up into that upper above tree line stuff and storms roll in, I mean, it can get flat out scary. And one of the things that we have the advantage in our place is that we're lower elevation, so we have trees, and we have drainages, and we have all of these things. We have a lot of rideable zones when the weather comes in.
I think it kind of compares to the West Coast riding, California, Oregon, Washington, like that. It can feel similar to that. Terrain wise, because we are right on the coast. When we fly in and out of Temuco, that's our final airport. If you look to the left, you can see the Pacific Ocean. If you look to the right, you can kind of see the mountains that we're riding. So it's not that far off the coast there. And it makes for that kind of coastal style of snow and terrain variance and all of that stuff. But maybe, Chris, talk about so the first year was insane, chaotic, successful, and how have things started to change? Both Sled Chile, they have put in a lot of work down there now, and how everything has kind of evolved over the last couple of years of us being down there.
Yeah, it's been pretty neat to see how it's evolved, and to be honest, how it almost went away. So our first year we were completely booked. There was a lot of people super pumped on being able to check something like that off their bucket list, and so that was really exciting. And then next year we had clients, but it was a drop in clients, and then the following year another drop in clients. And so I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, man, this is we keep investing more. Sled Chile keeps investing more, but we're getting less people. And so it's interesting to see how Chile for us has completely turned around. There was some economic times going on during the downfall there. Money was tighter for people, which that's something that it's hard to prepare for that. But what we did is we started changing the business model a little bit. Our price point that we needed to be efficient down in Chile ended up being, at that time, just a little high for what was going on with the economy. And so we ended up doing a promo, $1,000 off, capitalize on that prime booking time right when we were getting back from Chile. But more importantly, besides the money, we ended up and we did this as a company whole, we ended up changing our approach to Burandt's Backcountry Adventure, and Ross, you've been 100% a part of this as well, is, the early years of our business was very simple. People come here, we kick the living crap out of them, help show them an awesome time, give them some good food, and then go on to the next. And that was fun, and people, I believe people had fun, and some people enjoyed that side of things. But our big approach now is, we want people to learn, understand, and know how to ride in the mountains. And so we've kind of we've 100% shifted the approach. And probably the coolest thing that we get to hear on a day in and day out basis is when these guys come and ride with us, is when they leave, they said, I've seen all the videos, I've seen everything, I knew the riding was going to be cool, the shop, the lodge, all this, I knew all that was going to be cool, I just didn't expect to learn as much as I did. And that statement right there, after I heard that the first time, I was like, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it'd be just the same as like if you or I, if we went to go ride with, let's use Graham Jarvis, right? Ross, you're getting into single track stuff, right? And we go there and he just makes us look silly. And do we have a good time? Yes. Do we learn a couple things? Of course. But if we had a day with him where he could actually teach us and show us and be able to take that skill set with us forever, then dude, I'm signed up next year already. That was awesome. I'm way better of a dirt biker now than I ever have been. I'm coming back.
Yep. And it pays dividends, because the next time that they do return, or you go ride with Graham again, you're going to be that much better of a rider. So then you're working on the next thing, and you're in gnarlier terrain, and it's something that everybody can build on from a client standpoint, and then also for on our standpoint as well. So applying that to Chile has helped quite a bit, is what you're kind of getting at. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so then I think what's really fun about Chile too is with that consistency of snow, it's so good to teach in. Like, awesome to teach in. You're not getting stuck every 12 feet. The sleds are very predictable in that type of snow, and forgiving. And so it's really amazing to see the type of progression we can see from the riders in those 3 short days.
Yeah. Yep. And Chile is a great place to teach, because of, and also it's August. So like, you're rusty because you haven't been riding, but it gives you like another few days of just kind of, oh yeah, this is what it's like to ride a snowmobile again. Yeah. And it has that terrain that it has a lot of terrain that, if you're just learning to get on edge, like it lends well to that, and it's forgiving and everything. So.
And that's something that is few and far between here in Colorado, that we definitely have our zones that are in the open that we can, with less consequences, but Chile has a lot of that, and that makes it, to your point, it makes it a little more enjoyable with less pressure to learn, for sure. So I want to touch base on one thing that you said, with Sled Chile kind of improving the facility and how we've continued to upgrade what we started with, and it's cool to see that evolution as well. Is both myself and Caesar, the owner of Sled Chile, we have both invested time, money, and effort into making this super special. And I remember the first year, so his 2 sisters are the staff that cook and clean and basically run the show, and they're awesome. And they would bring food, they'd cook it at their house, which was on the premise, bring it to the cabins, and then the clients would eat individually in their cabins and stuff. And so it worked, but we thought, we need to be together. I mean, we need to have that camaraderie and storytelling and all this stuff. And so now we have what we call the Quincho. The Quincho is this super cool place. It's our hangout place where all the dinners are served. We hang out. Now we got a wood-fired hot tub up there that is just insanely cool. new this year. We actually, I don't even know if you know this, we actually have a brand new facility for the clients where all the clients will be staying. They're not going to be staying in the individual cabins next to us. They literally a brand new house that was built. So just again, stepping up the program, and it's going to be pretty awesome moving forward.
It's just so cool to see all of the changes that have happened, and it's not like the US in the sense that you just hire contractors and they show up in concrete trucks, and it's just things are a little different, especially where we're at. We're not in a super populated area. We're kind of out there, and they've created a really cool feeling, sort of almost like campus with cabins and the little shop and where we go eat. And there's a stream that runs through sometimes, and it's the ambiance of the actual facility is really fun to just hang out and be a part of. And I think that's where that's a huge part of it too, is that side of the adventure for our people that go down there. So,
yeah, I got another story for you. I was kind of going through some footage, trying to get something to post, and I saw a clip from, this would be 2 years ago. It was Chase and I down there, and we decided on the day, like, we had clients with us, and we had a good riding group of clients, and I was like, boys, we are going back, like way back. I've never been to this place, and I've looked at it, and I've always wanted to get there, and you guys are the guys that are going to go in there with me. And so we and it's a mission. It was a ways back in there, and we get back into this spot, and looking back at the video, I'm just laughing at myself. So I've got my GoPro on, and it's on the super wide angle, and I'm side hilling on this spine, and I have this death chute to my left and this death chute to my right, and I'm like, well, I'm on the corner of Narville, and I don't want to be here, and I'm like, man, I hope no one's behind me. And I look down, and here comes Chase, out of control, on edge, coming right behind me, and I'm like waving up to the clients, no, stop. And thankfully everyone got stopped up at the top. But that this place is, that's what I love about it so much. And I touched on it briefly, but being able to go somewhere that you've never gone before, what's over the next ridge, we get a little bit of that at home, but I mean, we ride here 120 days a year. So we ride a lot of the same areas, and you have your little spots, and when we're riding with clients, it's a little different. If we were riding to ride, right, we could go do a little more exploring, but that's the beauty of and what's so insanely fun for me, is to be able to do that. Is just, I feel like Christopher Columbus out there exploring and just seeing new things for the very first time.
Yeah. That reminds me of the time when we went back pretty deep with Phil, and he wrecked his drone that day on the mountain, flew it back on a huge mountain.
Club Med, dude.
Yeah. And, we named that little spot, or, the joke was no fall zone, because if you let go of your sled, it was going probably into Argentina. I mean, it wasn't going anywhere you needed it to go. So it was just fun to, the place where we're at wasn't that technical, but just what was below us was just like the valley floor. And it was a long ways down, and it's just so cool. It just feels different than Colorado too sometimes when you're out in that kind of terrain. So,
well, what's funny about that line, Ross, is every single year I will get a group to the opposite side of where you and I did that side hill, and I will point over to them. I'm like, you guys see that cliff over there? Yeah. You see that cliff below it? Yeah. You see that strip of snow? Yeah. Yeah. So Ross and I elevated down into that stupid thing, side hilled across, and then exited out. And they're just like, no. And well, what's funny is, like, to your point, it wasn't crazy technical, but we couldn't really see what was below us. All we were focused on was, we know what's in front of us. We know that this is manageable terrain that we can traverse, and it's going to be good. But there was absolutely no option of turning right or not. You could have, if you got stuck, you could have dug a shelf, all that kind of stuff, but there was no option of like turning down. Zero.
Yeah. So fun. But you posted yesterday, and in your post you talked a little bit about us. Another cool part is we get to kind of test and get some time on products down in Chile. And that's been pretty beneficial as well and fun to do. So if you want to kind of talk about that, and, that's a huge benefit for us, especially our store as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's so ideal to be able to do that and work with a lot of our sponsors. I mean, we've had Boondocker down there testing. We had the first prototype stock exiting silencer for their turbo kit. We've had this has been going on for quite some time now on the climb side of things, but the material that you're riding in right now on your lock saw, we were testing and developing now 3 seasons ago. And, to be able to do that and provide feedback to make not only the product better, but again, just reiterate the fact that the only reason that we sell what we sell on our online store is because we believe in it and that it works. And Chile, as you will attest to, is one of the harshest environments that you could go snowmobile in, whether it's sled-wise, gear-wise. I mean, you literally see any and every type of weather condition. We've been riding in the pouring rain. We've been riding when it's been super warm. We're riding and we're getting brushed with these razor sharp branches from the Araucaria trees. I mean, so, all of that stuff is so cool. And I've got a bag full of test stuff from Climb for that I get to take down. It sucks because I really want to post about me getting all ready, but I can't show anything for a month or actually for a week. I can show everyone next week. Yeah,
I got a box sitting here too of stuff that I'm gonna go put through the ringer, which is really fun. And talking about Climb, I remember when the very first lock saws, not the revised ones that are now current, but the very first lock saw you were wearing down there, and you're like, man, my forearms are getting wet. And we talked, the Araucaria trees were actually like putting micro like incisions in the Gore-Tex and sent it back to Climb, and we eventually figured out that's what was happening. And their response is, well, this is unacceptable. And we're like, I mean, this is the only place in the world where this tree can actually do this to gear. But that's what was so funny, is like they're pissed about it, and like nobody else is riding in that condition that could actually happen.
It's like riding with Freddy Krueger, like hiding behind every tree and taking a swipe at you. Oh, yeah, those really hurt. Another fun development story we talk about is, so Skins went down last year, and we got to finalize and oh my God, to hear their story of what happened there, and the customs, and having to drive all the way up to Santiago and then to get their bags and then come down, and they just had a logistical nightmare. But in the end, we were able to we made a front end. So there's been a lot of iterations of the Burandt front end through Skins, and there's been a lot of iterations because we keep finding new and better things. And we finally stumbled on, in my opinion, what is the holy grail in the free flow front end, and to be able again to put proof to the concept on snow in August, to be able to deliver to customers already knowing that it works come October, November is so crucial. And I'm taking a bag full of parts of Skin stuff that I'll be talking to everybody about on stories and my feed through Instagram over the next 3 weeks as well.
So that's a huge part of it that we get to do and are stoked to do down there. And you just touched on their travel issue. Always the tough one is getting through Santiago with everything. if you kind of make it there and get through it with all your bags, then you're in decent shape, and then hopefully your bags show up in Temuco. And a few years ago, we showed up, and a bunch of Polaris dealers came down for kind of a snow check deal, and they missed their flight or something happened, and they had to drive from Santiago, and they drove down, and they rented trucks, but we also had a van already rented for them in Temuco. So we had to then return the trucks to Temuco and pick up the van. You took all the guys out, and Phil and I from 208, we hop in the trucks and we drive down and get the van, and we're going like these as fast as these things can go, because we were going to go get the van, come back, hop on sleds, and go meet you. Well, we do that whole deal, and then we pick up the van, and then we end up getting backed into like on a side street in Temuco, and we're like, oh my god, this is not good. The guy like it actually hurt his truck worse than the van. And the guy gets out and he looks at us and he just goes, "Oh, Americans." And we're like, "Yeah." And he just like shakes his head and says like, "Not good," because that's like the only two English words he knew. And then he got in his truck and drove off. And we're like, "Oh my god." He's like,
"Not good for you."
Yeah. And he's like, "Rental." We're like, "Yeah." And so we're trying to buff it out, and we eventually got it buffed out enough that I don't think we got dinged for it or anything, but we were a little nervous about it the whole time. So it's always an adventure, even getting to the riding. So
yeah, one of the questions we get asked a lot is, what is the travel like? So for me, in Denver, most of the time I fly through Dallas. So I'll go Denver, Dallas, which is like 2 hours, 20 minutes. And then the big one, Dallas to Santiago, is 9.5. But what's cool is the Denver, Dallas flight, we get in at like 5 o'clock or whatever. We have time to grab a quick bite in the Dallas airport, and then we jump on the plane at like 8 or 9. You watch a couple movies, you fall asleep for a couple hours, and then you're there. So it goes fairly quick. Once you get in Santiago, you go through customs, and then you get there's one more leg. We've got an hour and 40-minute flight from Santiago south again to Temuco. And then once you're in Temuco, you grab your rental car, and then it's about an hour and 45 drive up to the snow.
Yep. And then you're home for the next few days.
And you're home. Yeah, and it feels good to be home. There's not like, after you've been traveling for 24 hours, there's nothing better than getting there, home cooked meal, hot shower, and that bed. Oh my gosh, does that thing feel so good? I mean, it's some of the best sleep I've ever gotten in my life. Like where the world could have ended and you would never have even known.
And just the way that it's quiet, and the time just is a little bit more flexible down there. It's not like here when we're in Colorado, you and we're in the shop at like 6 a.m. and just hustling. And, there's those days down there in Chile for sure when, we got to fix sleds or something's going on. But if everything's going smooth, it's a little bit more relaxed for us, and we can enjoy it a little bit more instead of the hustle sometimes that we got to do in Colorado. So that can be an advantage down there for sure.
Yeah, a lot of work and preparation goes into getting us to that point down there for sure. And then, I think things are easier on sleds down there, terrain-wise, snow-wise. And man, it sure is riding that elevation and having that power. Oh man, it's so cool.
Yeah, that is so fun. It's,
Yeah. Well, I think we're getting kind of close here. I think we got time for one more quick little hit, one more story each. I'm gonna start mine. So, and I've been talking about this last week because last year we had a fairly low snow season, but with the moisture content in the snow, it still allows you to ride. I mean, I remember last year being on the side of this hill, and it was a volcanic shale hill. So I mean, there was not a tree or stump or anything for miles, right? So we're out there, and one of the clients, and we're just doing drills, and one of the clients asked, "How much snow do you think's here?" And I'm like, "Oh, there's got to be like 3 or 4 feet or 5, I don't know." So, and I get my probe out. There was like 2 feet of snow, and but it didn't matter, right? I mean, we could still do all of our things. But one of the things that is so and we this happens at home all the time, is depending on the amounts of snow and the way the wind blows it in, it's a new paradise every single time. And last year, what I ended up having a ton of fun with was, it was fun because nothing too bad happened, but I had a lot of fun with water. And Chile has a ton of these steep, gnarly creek drainages that are super fun, and I really enjoy those. And normally they're filled, so the consequences are less. Last year, there was running water in a lot of them. And so I found myself in Shithole Creek a bunch. I had this one video where I ended up washing out because the snow is just a little firm. My sled rolls over one time and I'm nose down, water rushing underneath my sled, and just like matchsticks in front of me going down to another thing. And I'm just like, what do I do here? And so I mean, I have so many memories and stories of just what the terrain lends itself to down there, and it's so much fun. And this year is complete opposite. I talked to Caesar yesterday, and he said he has never ridden this last storm they got. He said he's never ridden in snow like that ever, which is saying a lot. And so that's pretty cool. And so it's going to be another adventure for us this year to see the terrain with this much more snow. And what amps me up for this season is I think we're going to be able to go into just zones that we haven't been able to access because of low snow. And so that's pretty exciting. You and Kyle are going to have a blast. Let's tell everyone before your story. So myself and Andrew are going to be going down. Andrew was a guide for us last season. He's helped me out previous years, but full-time guide last season. Andrew gets to see what Chile is all about this year. It'll be really cool showing him Chile for the first time and him getting to experience that. We're going to miss old Ryan McConnell. Ryan's staying back, and it is just a super busy time with our business right now. And so Ryan, unfortunately, will be doing the dirty work. And then Ross, you're going to come down with me and ride with me for our last group, which is going to be a really fun one. We got Randy, Chrisman, I think Randy's the last group. Yeah, I think Randy, Dale Ray is going to be down there. Some of our repeat longtime customers, bunch of other guys that's just going to be a really fun group. So you'll get to come down there. We're going to film some stuff, shoot some stuff, vlog some stuff, and then you and Kyle get the last pull.
Yeah, that's going to be super fun. I'm excited for Kyle and I to be down there and do the deal, because usually in Colorado, Kyle rides with you and then I ride with Andrew. So most of the time, and that's not always how it goes, but that's a lot of it. So it'd be fun for Kyle and I to go tear it up. And then I always love chasing you down there too. So it'll be really cool to be able to ride with both of you guys this season. I'm excited about it. And you got old Dan Adams coming down. I'm jealous. I would kill to go ride with both of you guys for 3 days down there. So that will be really fun for you.
Yeah, it's funny. I forgot to bring that up because I posted a little something about Dan. Dan OG, right? Dan is the OG. Him and I have been in this industry since the beginning, and it's so awesome. I mean, Dan is as busy, if not busier, in the summer with his seal coating business, that it is pretty incredible for him to make this commitment and take time away from what he has going on, and all of our clients, in all honesty, taking time away from their friends, family, businesses to come down and ride with us. But Dan is going to flip out. I cannot wait. He is so excited. We've been texting back and forth a bunch, and it's really cool. Dan just said, I don't want no deal. I'm not working. I'm a client. And so don't ask me to work, dude, because I'm paying. I'm going down there for fun. And so I love that. And we're going to have a blast.
That's going to be all time for all the clients going on that first group. That's a legendary trip for them. So but I forgot what I was going to talk about my story, because I remembered that you and Dan were going down there. It got me totally off kilter, but
Well, it was probably going to involve you upside down, me having to come get you or something.
well, no, I mean, actually, it was one of the first days you and I got there. I don't think we even had clients left. Side hilling above like this massive willow field. Or kind of aspen grove that they, in some spots, they're so thick down there that like you don't want to venture into them. And it was more springy snow, and I was chasing you. I have the GoPro video somewhere still, and you had kind of taken all of the snow, and I'm just like clawing and I'm just praying that I make it across this damn hill because I'm going to be stuck in the willows for 4 hours if I don't. So it doesn't matter if we're in Colorado, BC, or Chile. It's the same thing. It's just a different place and different terrain with you. So that's about.
Yeah, you blaming me for taking the snow. That's all I heard.
Yep. So, yep.
Sweet. Well, awesome, Ross. Another podcast down. I say this every time we do one of these. It's so damn fun. I mean, I love talking about this. I love sharing it with you guys. Again, a lot of you guys have posted comments and questions and topics for us to chat about. We'll do our best to get to them all. We thought Chile would be fitting with me leaving for Chile tomorrow. Holy cow, I can't believe I leave tomorrow. I am excited. I am sad to leave my wife and kids for 3 weeks. It's a long damn time. But I'm excited to get back to the snow. It's been a whole 4 weeks, so hopefully I'm not too rusty. But anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. Ross, tell them, give them the spiel, let them know where. Tag your buddies. Tell everybody.
Yeah, we love it when you guys share the stories, and this one will be on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, subscribe, comment, let us know what you'd like to hear in future episodes. Leave us reviews on iTunes. Those help a lot, and we really appreciate it. And then maybe look for, we're going to try to knock some podcasts out in Chile. So when I can get those published will be the question, but we're going to do our best to get them to you guys quickly. Yeah, thanks for listening.
See you down south.
Play outro music. We're upgrading around here. No. All right. See you guys later.